everybody. Welcome back to I'll Read What She's Reading. I'm Reggie.
I'm Kennedy.
And I'm Michaela.
And today we have the man, the myth, the legend, and the man responsible for all of our therapy bills, and also the first man on the podcast, Pierce Brown.
What?
Yeah.
I'm the first man on the podcast?
The first man.
I appreciate the honor, ladies. Thank you.
Oh, good. I know all the ladies are going to be excited.
It's an honor to have you.
We're
honored.
Thanks for having me in your space. I appreciate it. That's a lot of fun.
We're excited. We had a question. We just want to start off with a bang. You finally decided to join BookTok. Welcome. How has that been? How's the experience been so far with
Chaotic. Yeah. Fortunately, I have an interpreter who's helped me understand BookTok quite a bit. But Brandon summoned me, so I had to appear. And I realized there was a lot of readers on there that I hadn't connected with before, so it seemed to make a lot of sense. And I can be a Luddite all I want and pretend like my existence is analog, but we live in the 21st century, so it seemed right to be on BookTok, lest I be a relic of the past. So it's been interesting, though. I try to stay off it for the most part because how would I say, the last thing I need is another dopamine addiction. And that thing is just it's like an IV of dopamine. So I get on Thursdays to comment, and then I get off, and I get on Thursdays to comment, and I get off.
Okay. Oh, so what you're saying is everybody needs to tag you on Thursdays.
Yeah. Tag me on Thursdays.
Got it. You heard it here first. Yeah. Thursdays.
Yeah. Anything else? I have an hour to do it. I have to stay disciplined with that. Otherwise, I got a TikTok like 4 years ago maybe, and the algorithm figured me out so darn fast that I was like...
It's scary.
Oh, I know, and the last thing I need is another... one, it made me feel not that special that it could figure me out. And then two, I realized that I already had enough of distractions. So, but it's fun to be on there. It's fun to get to chat with some of the book talkers. Like I did an interview with Smitty, which was a lot of fun. And I think he was like the first person I followed on there, so that's fun.
Cool.
Instagram gets so chaotic as well, but I have like following 15 people on TikTok, so it feels very civilized. A new beginning.
Well, and your books have taken BookTok by storm.
I feel fortunate in that. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I think it's a lot because of podcasts like yours or book talkers like you guys who found it. I'm not sure when you found it. Was it recent or has this been?
Man, it's been...
I read Lightbringer last Christmas, so you ruined my Christmas season, unfortunately. But yeah, I picked it up last year, and then I got these two to read it. I said, you have to read this. You know the term like boy books? Have you heard about that on BookTok?
Yeah, I've heard that only recently though.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of get intimidated, but yours is such a good gateway drug into that whole quote boy book area, and so got these two to read it. And
I don't know. I think I read it. I started Red Rising October last year. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because you were reading.
Yeah, you did October because I was Mustang for Halloween.
You were Mustang for Halloween.
And you dropped it. You told me that you had started it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Mustang for Halloween. Did you Institute Mustang or Post Institute?
Institute.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was pretty sweet.
It was really cool.
No, I wish.
Okay. So what do y'all think about...
Yeah, we didn't have that kind of budget.
No, maybe next time. So what do y'all think about the term of boy books? Like, do you guys feel like that's an apt term?
Not necessarily. I feel like it makes things way more intimidating than it needs to be.
Yeah. I feel like there's this persona around it that it's like a little bit more higher fantasy. And I think people do get intimidated by it, but I think people miss out on, the subtle romance stories and the subtle rip your heart out that people think you're not going to get with the higher fantasy. But I don't know. I think it's been really great. I think we've all kind of started to dip our toes in it, especially like Brandon Sanderson and
Joe Abercrombie.
Abercrombie, yeah. Love those
the
guys.
Complexity is just so much better. Your brain has to work a little bit more, which I appreciate.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I like boy books, girl books. I don't know because how they qualify. Because I found Twilight. I don't know, like 15 years ago, and was like, holy shit, this was like cracked in my brain. I didn't love the sequels quite as much, but Twilight had some dark magic about it that lured me in. So I guess I'll always just read whatever comes across my desk. I think there's so many gatekeepers and trying to say this is a book for you, or this is not a book for you, or this has higher fantasy or lower fantasy. And I don't know why people need to create those barriers of entry. I think if people are reading, it's a great thing.
Doesn't matter what you read.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you can come over to the boy book side and whatnot, and you have someone introducing it to you and saying, "I know how you think, and you'll love this," and that's great. I mean, that's honestly how I've always found books, is through people that I respect recommending something. And I think that's the fun thing about books, because you can have these huge, marketing campaigns for movies and such, but books are still really grassroots, right? And they find their way. Look at my book; it's 11 years old somehow, and it's still finding new readers. And I find that a very fun thing about the book world.
Well, and it's so cool about the rise of BookTok as well, because I've heard about so many books that I never would have heard of if it wasn't for these creators who give these books shout outs. And you do trust them because you've found that you like other books that they've read. So it's it's a chain reaction.
Yeah, it's a chain reaction. That's what I think has been the most fun to see in Red Rising Catch on BookTok, is seeing that chain reaction. Because I've always had like a pretty 50-50 split of female and male readers. At least my publisher thinks I have. And so it's funny for like BookTok to find it, and for new people to find it and think it's a boy book. And I guess it is, in some respects, but very happy y'all found it. So thanks for having me on.
We're happy to have you.
Yeah, we're so grateful.
It's kind of crazy, and this will kind of lead into our rapid fire section. So I had never seen Star Wars in my entire life, and then I read Red Rising, and I said, oh wait, maybe I do actually like sci-fi. So then me and my husband started to watch Star Wars together. So first rapid fire question: Star Wars or Dune?
Dune.
Okay.
Yeah, because Star Wars, I love Star Wars, don't get me wrong, but Star Wars was written very much taking Dune in mind. Dune came out, 62, 63. Star Wars was written less than 10 years later. It came out in 77, but it was written with the Jedi were initially called the Jedi Bindu, which sounds very similar to the Bene Gesserit. Tatooine is very much like Dune. The Force is very much like The Voice. So I'm going to go with OG Dune.
Okay.
Do you enjoy the movies?
I do, yeah.
You like the movies?
Which ones, Dune or Star Wars?
Dune.
Oh, yeah, I love them. I mean, heck, I grew up on, that really cheesy Dune from the 1980s, I believe, the David Lynch ones. And I even found a lot to love there, because I was like Kyle MacLachlan from Twin Peaks, and so that was always fun for me. Then Sci-Fi had this, Sci-Fi Channel had this amazing 2001, maybe 2002 Dune miniseries, which my sister and I just loved. And this is always something my sister and I, like, we're very different people, but we always had joint obsession over Harry Potter or Dune or these big sci-fi fantasy worlds. So we watched the heck out of that. And then, Denis Villeneuve doing it. Yeah, I love those. I mean, that's like ripped out of my mind's eye. It's like exactly how I wish it had always been done. This kind of operatic scope, and the feeling of like this alienated feeling, because it's so kind of grim and bleak and nihilistic, yet there's such human components to it. I love it. Yeah,
they're really
good.
good.
So good. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My husband did fall asleep in it, but don't hold that against him. I liked it. He did fall asleep, unfortunately, but
I feel like we all have to confess, I don't think any of us have read them.
No.
But we have watched it.
Reading. Yeah, they're tougher reading. They're not quite. They're much more idea books than they are ripping narrative yarns, particularly as the books go on. The first book is really a planetary ecology book, and if you're going in there expecting an adventure novel, you'll be kind of disappointed, because much of the action and much of the violence isn't shown. And I think that reflects Frank Herbert's experience with war. He was much more interested in the political science side of things, and in exploring, the danger of messianic figures, which, I'm not going to tell you more about it. You'll have to see it when it comes out. But he's much more interested in the political science side of things and the science side of things, and that definitely reflected in the books.
Very cool.
They're just really thick books.
Yeah, they're a little intimidating for sure.
Books a little time.
Yeah, I get intimidated by them as they go on. Like I've read a little bit past the fourth one. I've read I think to the fifth one, and then I had to tap out too. So, and they're some of my favorite books, so I definitely empathize.
Okay. Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings. Lord of
I
the
think
Rings.
that's
I
the
love
only
Game of
correct
Thrones.
answer.
I love Game of Thrones, but Lord of the Rings is myth, you know?
Mm-hmm. I love Lord of the Rings. She
I've
hasn't
only
wa- she
I've
hasn't
only seen The
watched any
Hobbit.
movies.
I've only seen The Hobbit. I know.
Oh my gosh.
I
Maybe
know.
try the
We've got lots
audiobooks
of
on
homework.
them. They have such
Okay.
good audiobooks. My dad
Okay.
and I, we would do a lot of cross-country trips when I was a kid. We had these old
Mhm.
Hobbit cassettes, and I used to go to sleep to them. They were just my childhood
Oh.
companion, listening to The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings on cassette. And I actually found they were in this like delivered in this like box that has this burned imprint of The Hobbit on it. And I actually found that the other day and sent it to my dad. And he said, "Oh,
Oh my
such good
gosh.
memories." So it's like, yeah,
Oh.
it's I have to go. I have to go with Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
That's so
Alright.
sweet.
All right, Mustang or Victra?
Victra.
I thought you were going to say that.
That's what
Yeah,
I thought.
I
too.
love Mustang, but I actually have a crush on Victra, which is kind of weird because I made her up. So, like, what does that say?
Mm-mm. That's
Hey,
not weird.
you're
It's
fine.
fine.
You got the power.
It's weird, but Victor's so cool. You know, Mustang's a
She's
great
so
character,
cool.
but Victor's so unapologetic that sometimes a character, in order to be a good person, has to be an uninteresting character. And I think Virginia toes that line much more so than Victor, who's all id. She's just this walking, talking id who does so many things that I wish I could do. So definitely Victor.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right, Ragnar or Sephi?
Ragnar.
Good
Yeah.
answer.
Yep.
Sevro or Cassius?
Oh, Sevro. Cassius is a very special character to me, but he also annoys the heck out of me. Sevro is that how would I say it? That unruly child within who is at war with the world and rejects the world before it can reject him, and I very much felt that at certain points in my life. Whereas Cassius is more so, Cassius has all the hallmarks of what the world approves of, and his journey is certainly a worthy journey and certainly interesting to me. But Cassius represents a lot of things and a lot of values in the world that I don't appreciate. Whereas Sevro and that consummate underdog is someone I'll always choose their side.
I think most of the fandom would agree with.
Yeah.
I like
your
Cassius
that
is
answer.
pretty though. Sure is pretty.
Sure is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, people getting a
That was
tattoo.
an interesting silence.
Mhm.
Yum yum
Yeah.
yum from Reggie.
We love Cassius. What can we say?
We do.
Oh yeah,
We love the
yeah.
good fan art.
Yeah.
Bringing the
yeah.
characters to life. It's great.
Mhm.
The
He's the jaw that sets the bar. Chin that sets
Uh-huh.
the bar. Yep.
People getting a tattoo in honor of your books or naming their kids after your characters.
I'm gonna say naming the kids. Naming the kids.
Ooh.
Tattoos. Believe it or not, tattoos are easier to get rid of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
a little. So you want the
Yeah.
more permanent thing.
Yeah.
I want the permanent thing.
Okay.
Though I will say, sometimes they name a character before the character has that Daenerys Targaryen moment,
Mhm.
and that can be a little interesting.
Yeah, I bet. Physical reading or audiobooks?
Physical.
I agree.
Sci-fi or fantasy?
Sci-fantasy.
Okay. I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's what
both
Red
of them.
Rising is. It's what Dune is,
That's true.
Yeah, and if it really got down to it, if we're talking classic sci-fi or classic fantasy, I do love classic science fiction. My books veer pretty far away from classic science fiction, unless you're talking like, John Carter of Mars type. But
Mhm.
the Robert Heinlein, Asimov stuff that I grew up on, I really, really love it. But it's not that romance and fantasy that I've had since I was a kid. Yeah, fantasy's
Mhm.
always been the myth that I appreciate the most.
Mhm. Okay. Animated or live action adaptation?
Live action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
We've
think
all
that
been like
Go ahead.
Sorry, we just all have been debating on whether we would want to see Red Rising in a cartoon animated adaptation or a live action. Besides your answer, we know your answer, but we've been arguing about what we would prefer to see.
Yeah.
And what was the consensus?
I originally said like Arcane style animation because I was obsessed with Arcane.
That was quite good, yeah.
But then I watched Star Wars and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go with live action.
Yeah,
and especially with the budget, you could do like very epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
hard to
also
achieve
just really
that scope.
I just want to see the characters come to life. I don't know. With like an actual person, but I know that's really hard because you have such an idea in your brain, especially probably you, about what the characters look like, their build, especially with the different colors. So I bet that can be tricky.
It can be tricky, and no matter how you do it, you know, if you did it live action, people are going to say that's not the actor I had in mind. If you do it animation, they're going to say that's not the art style that lends itself best to the Red Rising world. It's a wonder of books is we each are the directors in our own mind, you know. And so it's always going to be different than what you suppose. I think that Dune is a great example, right? You have several different iterations of Dune, a lot of different video games of Dune even, and then Denis Villeneuve's iteration of Dune, which I think will be most people's iteration now. But there was even sections of the fan base of Dune that were complaining about Denis Villeneuve's take. And I'm like, if Denis Villeneuve can't satisfy everyone, no one can, because I think he's a master. So, you know, there's always going to be that different interpretation. I do think that neither a live action nor a animation precludes you from having the other, so long as they're successful. I do think that a live action adaptation, if it is successful, then leads to a animated adaptation more easily than an animated adaptation leads to a live action. So strategically, it doesn't make much sense to go, if there's the option of having a live action, it doesn't make much sense to go with the animated first, because then it becomes a rights issue. And from a business standpoint, just how these things work, it's better to do it the other way. That said, really hard to make a good movie, huh? So, yeah. So like the whole thing is, you get someone to even say they'll make the movie and put the money behind it. Well, then you got to make it good. So that's a whole other bag of tricks.
We have all we've got a lot of faith.
Yeah,
we do.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I'll need it.
All right. I don't know if you will be able to answer this question, but we have to ask, can you rank your books?
Oh, wow. In terms of how much I like them. I think that very difficult. You know, you ask me this next week, it'd be different. You ask me in a month, it'll be different. But currently, Dark Age is my favorite. I think I experimented the most in it. I think I learned how to do multiple POVs better in it. I think that it shows the biggest jump in my writing quality. And also, it was a book engineered to piss people off.
Well done there.
Yeah. And so, you know, I think Dark Age, Golden Sun, Lightbringer, Red Rising, Iron Gold for me, maybe. But that'll change. Iron Gold, there's other times where it's like way higher up on the list, where it's like number 2, because Iron Gold is much more of a spy thriller than it is a space opera. Dark Age is unequivocally a space war opera, you know, constructed to have elements of World War II as well as Vietnam in it, as well as many other military campaigns. Lightbringer, however, then often takes the top spot as well if I'm in an optimistic mood, because of, you know, Dark Age challenges you to see what depths you can sink to in the reading and in the experience, and what depths I'm willing to challenge the reader with. And then Lightbringer brings back so much of that nostalgia of the earlier books, while also pulling you out of the dark hole that, you know, I shoved you in with a steel-toed boot, and proves that, you know, endurance, like the line that Virginia said to Darrow, "Endure, my love, endure." It proves that there's hope at the end of the darkness, and brings back a lot of the, how would I say, feelings I had in the earlier books. So I think that each one has its virtues, and it really just will shift with my mood. Dark Age and Lightbringer and Golden Sun are very special to me though, because I definitely took shots with them. Like the books, like the Red Rising, for instance, it was very difficult to get published. As I don't know if you know this about me, but it was my 7th book I'd written. 6 before then couldn't get representation, and so and no one wanted to buy a 200,000 word book from a first time writer, and no one wanted space operas weren't selling, and so Red Rising was created to get published. Was created because I'd faced so much rejection before, and I finally wrote the book that I wish existed, but at the same time it wasn't done with my head in the sand. I was looking at what was getting people publishing contracts, and lo and behold, that's the one that worked, right? But then Golden Sun was me just being like, all right, now here's the space opera that I've been just like lusting over, and so just throwing people head on into that space opera was a lot of fun. So it was very much, both were kind of seismic shifts in my writing style, I think, and how I approached writing.
I think when I finished Golden Sun, that was the most surprised I have ever been reading a book.
Yeah.
The ending of that, it blew my mind. It was crazy.
That's so fun. I love hearing that, because my editor didn't even know what was going to happen at the end of Golden Sun. It actually ended kind of happily at first, and he asked me to take another shot, and it just said basically this isn't very good, and so I was like, I'll show you. And that's how we got the ending we got.
Yeah, that ending is incredible. Yeah,
I appreciate.
So, of your books, is there one that was the most difficult to write?
Always the one I'm currently writing.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Yeah, each time I go in with a new plan, a new strategy, and end up somehow always fighting my own demons in the trenches with a knife, and always being like, how did I get here? And I had such order and organization, and yet lo and behold, I'm in my neurotic self again, trying to figure out this monster I've created. So,
but I mean, it works. Obviously,
I just wish it worked with me getting more sleep and like faster sometimes. But yeah, it works, because I won't put something out that I don't love. So it'll eventually work. But sometimes getting to that point is quite a lot of frustration. But I'd always say the book I'm currently writing, easiest to write was weirdly Golden Sun. Actually, probably Red Rising. Red Rising is the easiest, then Golden Sun. And as it got more complicated, I had more characters and more readers, more expectations. It feels sometimes more like I'm managing a world as opposed to forging boldly into a world and exploring things for myself. That's the fun of it, writing for me, is just seeing where the story takes me and seeing what ideas excite me. But there ends up being quite a lot of bills to settle when you're having a story as vast as this one's become. So I'd say that as they've gone on, each one is progressively harder than the last.
Now, I think in an interview you said you don't outline. Is that still the case? You don't necessarily outline?
Yeah, I try to outline. I've outlined pretty much every book, sometimes like my Lightbringer outline was 28 pages. And then I ended up just like chucking it because I hated it, And so I outlined for Red God, then I ended up chucking it because I hated it. So it's not like I go in with no plan. I definitely have the idea of what I'm doing. And usually it adheres closely to that. But the problem I find with outlines is that it's a bit disingenuous, particularly when we're doing an immediate first-person perspective. Immediate first-person perspective, it feels as though there are, how would I say, that I am making a character do something, often at a juncture in the story, and it feels decidedly unlike them. And I can't rationalize that sometimes. And so then I'll realize my outline is flawed because, I'm making them behave in a way that's inherently not them, just for the convenience of the story. And so outlining sometimes becomes difficult when I feel that sort of insincerity.
Yeah.
Sorry, I almost said insincerity. When I feel that insincerity in a story, it becomes difficult to cling on to that outline. That said, I'd say that once I have a first draft that kind of looks like my outline, I can then I become like actually an athlete. I can like see the pacing. I can see the opportunities. I can see seeds I put and make them come to germination later on in the story. And I really enjoy writing second and third drafts. First drafts are abysmal for me, though. Outlining is even less fun because I'm like having to decide these things without being emotionally in the story, and it's very,
that would be challenging.
It's very logic. Like, is that right brain? Is that right? Right, logic's right brain, right?
Yes, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
We'll say it is. We'll say it is.
Yeah.
Let you
Yeah.
Sounds
I
right.
think creative is left
like,
brain. Yeah.
The logic side of things, but I'm a very emotional writer, and so like it's difficult for me to believe in my own outlines often.
So what do you do when you find yourself in like a writer's block? Is there a way that you feel like you can get out of it, or is it always different for every single book?
It's different. There are certain tricks I've learned, I suppose. You know, one of the best things you can do is leave it alone for a little bit and then come back to it and just work. The problem is when you're in a writer's block, you'll trick yourself into thinking that you'll come up with the solution when you're not looking at it. And sometimes that is true. But often what really solves it is hard work and sitting there, it's, you know, kind of suffering through it because and finding the moment of inspiration once you're forcing something. It's kind of like, you know, when you can't decide between something on a menu when you're ordering dinner.
Yeah.
Story of my life.
There, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, like the pressure makes you have to decide. And sometimes you regret that decision or whatnot. And as soon as the waiter's leaving, you're like, no macaroni and cheese. And you know, right? It's kind of like that. You kind of just got to get on the page and start working on it. And then the pressure of it will figure it out for you, because otherwise you'll have, you'll just be indecisive. And sometimes you need to be decisive by just getting on the page and seeing what comes out. But some of the tricks I've learned, like I do word association games sometimes. So I'll write down 7 words, call them word webs. So I write down 7 words. I'll usually start with 1 word, and then I write 7 words that I associate with that word. Say that I put down jar, and then I think like I'll put down lightning, or lightning bugs, or jam, and then I'll do 7 words off that word and 7 words off that word. And all of a sudden, I'll have a huge web of words, each one of which is kind of logically linked to a tone, and it helps me just get the creative juices flowing by free association. And so it's just lighting up different parts of your brain. And I find that that's sometimes helpful for getting out of my own head and just, I don't know, electric shocking my brain a little bit and getting inspired.
Yeah.
So that can help sometimes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I don't
I
know
thought
where.
I did that in like middle school.
Yeah,
is that a thing? Like an English class they have you do?
I think it came. I don't know if he created it, but Ray Bradbury, I think in his On Writing, talks about it.
Okay.
I think that's where I got it from. I'm not sure exactly the genesis of it, but yeah, it's also a trick that they do for the military sometimes. And they teach you to free association like that. You'll think of what is it? Think of ABCs, go through them, and then think of like an animal or an item, like alligator, bat, and just keep going down. And what it does is makes your brain bounce around so much you're not staying on one thought, and so you're not just a hamster spinning a wheel. You're moving around, and then your brain relaxes.
Okay, I do that sometimes when I can't fall asleep. It's like a random word association game that I play in my head, and just whatever word comes to my brain, and then I fall asleep.
I'm gonna try
But I mean, yours is not to fall asleep, but
no,
yeah,
but it's to help make your brain relax, and that's kind of the same thing I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to make my brain relax, because otherwise, sometimes the difficulty is that your ego is engaged when you're writing. So you're trying to, I'm trying to seem smart, or I need a twist to be here, or I'm trying to seem like a good writer, so I'm throwing in a lot of adjectives or whatever. When really you just got to relax and see what's interesting to you. And so it's really about relaxing and not taking it too seriously, because if you take it too seriously, you'll never get words out.
Nice.
Well, and the good news is if you get it out and you don't like it, you can always scrap it like you have done in the past.
Yeah. And I have to remind myself that every day, because if I have a bad writing day, it's always because I was taking it too seriously.
The good news is I feel like the fandom's patient. They know you're working hard.
I don't know.
They know we're patient. We're patient. We trust you.
I appreciate that. I hope.
Well, we can appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like people are always begging for authors to just quickly release these books because they're like, I need to know what happens next. But I can really appreciate you trying to help us practice our patience.
That's exactly why I'm
Because
doing
it just
I'm doing
makes
it for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it shows in your books. Like, even though I'm foaming at the mouth for Red God, I'm like, you've posted a few times I've seen where you're like, I just want it to be perfect. And I feel like that's the most important thing as a reader that you should be appreciating from an author. So
yeah, they often there's this expression that words are like bullets out of a gun. Once shot, you can't take them back. I think books are the same way, particularly since I've been working on this for such a long time that it's more than a decade of my life. And when I shoot this bullet out, it's gone, and I won't get to shoot it again. And I want to make sure that it's that I really love that bullet once it's gone. And if I'm wishing that I had taken more time, if I'm wishing that because I didn't want to get berated for being slow or something like that, if I felt any pressure and it listened to that pressure, then I know that in the long run I'd be letting myself down, letting the story down, and letting the readers down in the long run. So I appreciate people when they're eager for the next installment. But I think if they put a little thought into it, they would realize that negative reinforcement is probably not the best way to go about it with that perspective. Writers who are sensitive, like, when have you ever done something better because someone is like telling you to do it faster, right?
Yeah, good point.
And the Navy SEALs have an expression, is it slow? Fast is slow and slow is fast, or no, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And so I think of that a lot. And hey, I know some of these guys like Rothfuss and George a little bit, but Rothfuss more so. He'd love nothing more than to have that book out. Trust me. There's no one that wants Red God out more than me, right? And
I'm sure you want to get back to your life.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to have a life. Yeah, it'd be great. But and honestly, it's like carrying around a monkey on your back. It's like I literally became a writer because I didn't want to have homework. I mean, like, homework was my least favorite thing. I was terrible in school. Now I feel like I have this giant assignment to do all the time, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. But my graders aren't just going to put it on a report card. My graders are going to talk about it online. So this has to be good,
Yep.
So,
the pressure.
Yeah.
Now
that's why I have
we don't want to ask.
Well, that's why I have Thursdays.
That's why you have Thursdays.
That's why I have Thursdays.
1 hour. 1 hour.
Yeah.
He has 1 hour to himself on Thursdays, everybody.
Yeah, pop in, talk a little bit. Give the man a break. Be like, oh, putting that stress down.
Now, we don't want to ask you too many questions about Red God, but I feel like our listeners would be mad if we don't. So our first question is, for people who may not be super familiar with the Red Rising lore, can you tell us about the hat that you pulled out of? And can you also tell us if you pulled out of it for Red God?
Okay, so there's been various points in the story. My story focuses a lot on warfare. And I believe that my story is fundamentally anti-war. And one of the bad things about war is it's capricious. It's random. War or death is just a giant with scissors cutting at random. You can have the best person die by a stray bullet, right? At the same time, you want the story to be rewarding and not everything for shock value. But in order to create that sense of randomness, I reached in the first book a junction where I had to have a character die. So I put every character but one character in and then drew out the name at random. And I looked at the name and I realized that, like, I didn't have to kill this person, but then I didn't have readers. I didn't know people would love this character. I was just like, well, no one's going to read this anyway. Might as well stick to my agreement with myself, and I killed that character. Lo and behold, it becomes everyone's favorite character. But to keep that tradition, I've done it several other times during the story. And it has been inconvenient at times because sometimes that character, there's plans with that character, yet what the hat dictates, the hat gets. It's my sorting hat, if you will. And so
sorting hat of death.
The sorting hat of death. And ironically, it was a hat that had on it Deus Ex Machina, means God out of machine. God out of machine is an expression that comes from ancient Greek stagecraft. Back in the day, a lot of the Greek plays end with a god coming in and solving things or resolving things at the end, or meting out justice. and it would be usually an actor being lowered down by a pulley system, so God out of machine. And nowadays it's used as a, to clarify or to typify a writing trope where something is just solved miraculously. So ironically, that was the hat, Deus Ex Machina. And yes, I have pulled out of Deus Ex Machina for Red God. So
awesome.
Okay,
great.
So there is a
fantastic.
Well, right now I'm trying to figure out how much that screws up my story. So we'll have to see. Yeah, because
that makes me nervous.
This is the problem, because that outline I talked about definitely did not factor in.
Yeah.
So, but that's just it. That's why I like wrestling with these books for a while, because like in Lightbringer, I ended up throwing out 400 pages and restarting the book, because I was like, this doesn't feel right, and I had a Sevro POV for much of that 400 pages, not all of it, but much of it, and I realized that we can't be inside Sevro's head. Sevro is an enigma, and if we're doing first person present tense from Sevro, it ruins a bit of that enigma, and I thought that actually was a disservice to the character and the overall story, so I had to start over. And that's why I'm also hesitant to give clarification sometimes on when Red God will be done, because it'll be done when I'm happy with it, and I might I might find out like, this sucks, these 200 pages suck, and I just can't fix them. And I believe that the sunk cost fallacy, just because I put a lot of work into it, doesn't mean that it should stay around. So we'll see. But yes, the How to Death was used.
All right.
Great. Oh, great.
It's gonna keep me up at night.
Okay, if you had to describe Red God as it is right now using one song, what would it be?
Nine Inch Nails, Hurt.
Oh.
Okay.
Or Johnny Cash's Hurt. Whichever.
You're just
version
like,
you like.
I'm scared. I was already scared, and now I'm more scared.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
I'm like
it's
so
good.
nervous.
Your anxiety only encourages me to write more.
I mean, is it fun? Like, do you love seeing? I feel like as an author, it would be like, I don't want to say fun, but like when you see people post on social media that they're sobbing to your books, is that like a compliment to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it can't ever be the intention. If it's the intention, then I feel like readers are canny enough to realize when I'm manipulating them. And so I don't do it to manipulate, but it is a sign of something that when it affected me, that I wrote it, it's a lot of validation, realizing that it affected people the same way. Because you don't often know, you can't know what'll land and what won't land. But, Hangar 17B, for instance, was like atrocious for me to write. I was just like a lodestone in my chest the entire time. And the entire time I was thinking like, especially upon rewriting and really spiffing up the scenes that came before, I was like, it doesn't have to be like this. I can avoid this fate. But at the same time, I knew that my desire to do that voice in my head was telling me that it was a scene that worked, right? And it's kind of like when you're rewatching a movie and you're like, maybe it'll end differently this time.
Yeah.
Maybe Sirius Black will make it.
Wait, what? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
In
the middle of reading them right now.
I'm in the middle of rewatching and reading them, and I kind of forgot things that happened. But yeah,
she's past it.
Yeah, I'm past that.
Yeah.
I think spoiler alerts have an expiration date.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that I read Hangar 17B in a public sauna. So that was really fun for me.
Kudos to you for being able to do that.
I got to about middle and I said, okay, I think I know where this is going. I need to close this book and finish it at home in the privacy of my own home.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, you've had me crying in a lot of public places like airplanes, the gym, parks, coffee shops.
I've seen my books in public before, and it's always a nice little thing for my ego. But if I see my book in public and someone's sobbing, I will just be so happy.
Go to an airplane.
I did that.
I'm sure
we'll show up and read Red God on your front porch.
Perfect.
If that's what it takes. Just kidding.
Perfect.
So one thing I really appreciate about your books is that you make it as if no character is safe. And I really like that. I like it, but I hate it at the same time. Is there a character, you don't have to say who, but is there a character that was the hardest to let go?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to ruin things for your readers. So I'll say a certain someone who was found worthy in the end.
Okay.
That one was really hard for me.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ow.
Because often you'll just find you just miss them in the scenes. You miss writing them. I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with death in your personal life, but the hardest thing I've found with death is sitting in their room afterwards and seeing the clothes they'll never wear or the items that no longer have meaning because they'll never wield them. You know, that's very hard. I find that most with the characters I miss, it's that they'll never inhabit their spacecraft again, or they'll never inhabit their clothing again, and they'll never inhabit scenes again, and create that fun balance. Because with the killing, you look at why like Marvel doesn't kill off characters really. They just bring them back. They don't kill them off like because it's such a careful balance. So like in like imagine Guardians of the Galaxy, you take out Rocket the Raccoon. How unbalanced does their crew feel now? And so dealing with that as it goes on is very interesting because I'll realize I've taken out a character that gave perfect balance to a crew, and then have to deal with that lack of balance. But that also lends itself well to the storytelling because the characters are also having to deal with that lack of balance, right? And it affects everything. So I'd say the worthy guy was a hard one.
Yeah.
You're gonna make us
I
tear
can
up right
imagine.
now.
I know, speaking of crying, where's the tissues? So I would like to know, what is it like when you're writing these scenes that are so hard and that are going to rip your readers apart? Give us a visual. What are you doing when you're sitting down to write these?
What does it look like?
How are you preparing?
On? Are they on? No, are you laughing? You're like,
what do
my
you guys
readers
think
are
I'm
going to
doing,
cry.
like
I love
swirling
this.
like a cup of your tears, just being like, yes, this will guarantee me 10 new bottles. I'd say a lot of times is me trying it out, and because I'm not sure if it'll work, and then those pivotal scenes become sometimes the easiest to write because you're like, oh my god, it's working. Oh my god, it's working. So there's a certain mad glee in the fact that it's working, and then you sit back and then you're like, what have I done? So it's like it's. Have you guys ever seen Breaking Bad?
Oh yeah, I'm rewatching it right now. It's like my favorite show.
I just rewatched it.
In the world.
It's so good. But there's this point where Walt realizes that he just likes it. That he just likes it.
Yeah.
Right? And so Walt, I look at him as like the cleverest cockroach. Like you just can't leave him alone too long or he'll create mischief. Right? And so a lot of times he'll create the mischief because he can, and then sit back and just feel all the human emotions of like guilt and second guessing himself. But in the moment, he's just excited that he can do it. And sometimes that's the case because writing a book is so hard for me that I'm just so excited that I can do it. And then you really sit back and you're like, oh no, was that the right choice? And then you fret.
Yeah.
Like, have I pushed the readers too far? Would they rebel and say I'm doing this just to piss them off? Is this abuse at this point? I don't know.
I feel like your books have ruined Marvel for me. And I literally just put that together when you pointed out that they don't kill off characters. And I think when I watch a Marvel movie, I'm expecting someone to die and like create this big impact. And I think your books have ruined things where characters don't die because I feel like it's not as big of an impact if they just come back miraculously,
If they come back and then they have to be saved by their former crew, and you spend a whole movie of like bringing them back from the dark side, and then the next one starts up and everyone's plucky again. I feel the same sense of severance from Marvel. I liked it a lot when I was younger, and I still do like certain storylines, like Captain America ones are still great for me. And I've always loved the X-Men to like a crazy degree. But I'd say that it's stories that lack consequence in violence or consequence in decisions that are hard for me to invest in, because the characters, then what's happening is they're just restarting it, and it feels a bit like Groundhog Day. And like, am I expanding? Am I learning? Some of the greatest things that have stuck with me in literature and movies, but like storytelling, are the endings that ache. the injustices that'll never be corrected or righted, right? And I think those stories inherently mean more to us. I think it's one of the great strengths of Harry Potter is how it was a book written to be accessible for children, yet it carried stakes of adulthood, real life. So it's kids thrust they're in this really cute school setting, this amazing wish fulfillment, but then they're having to face realities of life and adulthood and learn how to deal with grief. And if you're not doing the full spectrum of human emotions, it's difficult to believe in that world and invest in the same way, I think. Not to say there's not a place for Marvel films, but as I get older, that place shrinks quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, I feel like as you get older, you happen to have this life where you tend to see more death. And I feel like you realize how much of like a ripple effect it can have on like characters or even just in your own life. And so I think you can almost relate more, and it's honestly great for character development to see how a character's death is going to like ripple affect them either in a negative way or in like a positive way, dealing with like grief. And I just think it really progresses a book or like a story when there is a death. Even though we hate it, but we love it at the same time.
I think you're very right. And I think it makes me treasure the moments I have with characters more so. If you look at Lightbringer, it really makes, and some of the people you lose in that book, it really makes you reflect on how special the moments were in the other books where they weren't at conflict with each other. And, when they're reviewing old Institute tapes at the end, it really makes you feel like these characters are like with you, because you're like, I didn't know that was the summer of our lives. I didn't know those were the golden days, right? And I think that we often see that in our own lives. And then upon rereading, I think it makes those earlier moments more powerful, as opposed to, some stories where what happens later on diminishes the things that came before. I think that if the characters are able to reflect on the loss and then the importance of those earlier moments, it actually helps make those first books mean more, as opposed to, oh, that didn't matter because it's going to end this way. It actually makes those moments in the light special and frozen in time.
Well, I think one of the strongest things about you as an author is I feel like you have the best callbacks and tiebacks to your previous books. I remember finishing Morning Star thinking that this was the most perfect trilogy to ever exist on planet Earth. And I was like, why is there more? This was perfect.
Why would you have to go muck it all up?
Well, no, but then I read more and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And the ending of Lightbringer, I just felt like it was so perfectly ended with that callback. I guess my question is, how do you keep track of it all? How are you able to do that with multiple point of views across all of these books?
For me, and this is one of the difficulties, I think, because you're right to focus on that question. It's a good question. I don't do it logically. This is why the outlines are tough. I do it from feeling, that's why sometimes, and these later books have taken longer, is because I have to feel with the characters, and when I'm feeling it, I'll remember it. And of course, there's a lot of going back and looking at what was said and what was done. And to be honest, it's over 1,200,000 words that it gets in the final. But for that, I've written probably 10 million words. And what ends up making there, sometimes I'll have false memories of things that got excised from the book and didn't make it into the final draft. And that's actually the trickiest thing. But it really is feeling the characters and where they are on and in their evolution. And I think that's the kind of writer I am, much more so, and that's perhaps why it feels different, hopefully, from other books, because I don't know if that's... I know there are other writers like that, but I feel like that is part of the integral difference, is there's a certain linear evolution expected in book characters often, progression, right? Just because they've evolved past their anger in one book doesn't mean they've solved the problem and are no longer going to relapse. What I've found in real life is, if you've ever had an alcoholic in your life or an addict of any sort, is the incredible amount of false summits where you think that they've beaten the beast, and then like 2 years later they're back at in this direction, and you're like, I thought we were past that. And it's that sort of expectation we have sometimes, thinking that everything should be linear. And I feel like books and movies and TV shows give us that progression sense, right? But one of the things I like doing with the characters is making them relapse in certain ways. Sometimes from grief, sometimes from anger, sometimes from frustration or whatnot. And so it's not like a logical plan that I have for those moments. It's a lot of times just feeling where they are in the story. And it's one of the reasons that I didn't like the Sevro POV. It gave us too much insight into why he does this thing. But the whole concept with Sevro is all these insulting, horrific features about himself, his smelliness, his nastiness, his foul mouth, all these things are like defense mechanisms to prevent us from seeing what's inside. So then how can I show you what's inside? No, I can't show you what's inside. Sevro's narrative is about what he allows you to see from the outside, right? And if I just all of a sudden show you in it, then that's 6 books of character progression, where then I devalue the character. So it's about, Sevro's growth is about how much he'll let other characters and us as those characters, because they're reading through their perspective, see of him. So it's like, it's really just a feeling in my gut. I wish I was better at taking notes. I wish I could say that I have this like master document. I don't. And I think that's okay. I'm slow down the mind. Writing each book, I was like, this time I'll be organized, and it never happens. I'm ADD, or ADHD technically, and unfortunately that shows up in my process.
It's so funny. I told these two when they first started your books, I was like, you need to have a note on your phone with every single character and like a description of them, who their political alliances are. Just keep track of everything, because you're going to want to remember everything.
And, if they have brothers, they're coming into the story, and you're going to need to know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
So kind of along the Sevro lines, are you surprised that your readers have latched onto him? Or why him? Are you surprised by that?
I was surprised initially, but then I suppose it makes sense. I think that Sevro is the middle finger. Sevro is the conscientious objector. Sevro is the punk, that I think that particularly readers feel lies within them, and he says things that you wish you could say, or encounters the social systems that you encounter, and is like, fuck that. And it's very difficult sometimes. There's a lot of cost to saying fuck that in real life, but Sevro is able to do it, and I think that we feel as though he's this special little unicorn because he's in many ways a personification of our own disagreement, of our own objection, right? And so I think that that's why he's really found a place in the readership. I will say I didn't construct him that way. He just, he grew to be that. And I grew to understand him more so. But it was never meant to be like that. He was meant to just be colorful, right? But I think that he's abdicating the values that the rest of us, like Cassius and the rest of society holds dear, and he's like rejecting them because he doesn't fulfill any of the values. He doesn't meet any of the values that the world values, rather. So I think that in many ways we want to protect him. We feel a little bit of ourselves in him, perhaps, and think that when he's beaten down, it feels like a defeat of the idea. Because you can send it, like the idea itself, it feels like a personal defeat in a way that it doesn't with other characters. Because Darrow and these other characters are larger than life, and Sevro's just doing his darn best with a lot less natural gifts than anyone else has.
Well, there's so many characters that I love from your books. If you could pick one character from your books to spend a day with, who would it be?
Victor, but I'm not going to get into details.
All right.
Oh my God.
That's fair.
Although, sans that, I think it would be Mickey'd be a hoot. Mickey would be a hoot.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to see just a little bit of the world through his eyes. Or Quicksilver. He'd be that great fairy godmother I've always wanted.
How do you think
What about
Sevro?
y'all? I mean, you I'm sure you have your answers.
I know who I would avoid.
Who would you avoid?
The jackal?
Who would you avoid?
Um,
You can say it.
I
think I know who you're gonna say.
I really struggled with this character until the very last few chapters. Darrow.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I don't know why. I really had a bone to pick with Darrow.
That's fair. There's a lot of reasons not to meet Darrow. He'd run over you.
That's true. I'm a little scared of him. Maybe that's why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Who did you guys pick?
I might say Victra.
I don't know why I'm feeling this. I mean, I would say either probably Mustang or I don't know why she came to. I don't know why, but Lyria.
Interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I feel like
pick.
she's kind of not slept on, but a little bit.
I really
kinda
like
love
her
her.
character a
Yeah.
lot.
I mean, I would love to
say
say Sevro, but in
As
reality,
easy-
I would not want to spend time with Sevro.
The Sevro
I
would be
might-
tough. Sevro would be tough. Like, you'd have to be like a night out with Sevro, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd be,
But,
he'd
like,
be a
I'm not
hoot.
having Sevro in my house.
No.
No.
Not a house guest, right?
Stinky.
Ragnar would be
Yeah.
fun,
Yeah.
actually. I think he'd, like, just say some like,
Yeah.
wise stuff and, like, hopefully let me climb him.
Yeah, because he's
Take
what, like
Take
7.5
Ragnar to
feet
a
tall?
concert and, like, just have him hold you during the concert.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Get on his
So
shoulders.
Just a
Yeah.
big teddy bear?
Yeah, big teddy bear.
I like
There's
that
no-
idea.
There's no threats in the world that can bother Ragnar, so you're, like, infinitely safe. It'd be great. And he's not starting anything with
Oh,
anyone.
that's a great one, too.
You know, like, Darrow would just go
I
off
think-
on a crusade or something. He'd be like, I just wanted Starbucks, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I would pick Victra too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Victor would have the most interesting, like how would I say it? Escapades. She'd just be like, "Let's go do this."
Yeah.
Like, oh, I never thought about riding zebra before. She's like, "I'll help
Yeah.
you."
I
Yes.
feel like I could learn a thing or two from her.
But also, while we're on the topic of Victra, there's a very specific scene that I can't really say exactly what happens, but hopefully you can kind of catch the vibe of which scene I'm talking about.
All right.
That will forever be ingrained in my memory.
Badass.
Should I-
Yeah. I was
Okay.
just like-
"Oh yeah." I know what you're talking about.
Right before
Yeah.
something else happens that, like,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
I
she's
just-
pretty cool. She's pretty cool.
Oh
I
my
want to
gosh.
be Victra.
I can see why you have a crush on her.
I have a crush on her.
yeah.
Yeah, her maternity armor is one of my favorite things I put in there because I just, I grew up on so much of the fantasy art, having like, the women with the cut off midriff sections and stuff, and I just like Victor'd have no time for that, and like the idea that she wouldn't go to war because she's pregnant, like no, she'd have maternity armor built. She's a trillionaire.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
she's an aggressive homicidal trillionaire. Who has 3 kids and a 4th on the way. She's going to war.
Yeah.
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 So she
Yeah.
just have belly armor.
Yeah. Do you not feel a little afraid of how Sevro would act
Oh, yeah.
with you having a crush on Victra?
I do. But fortunately, I think Victor can take Sevro.
That's
And
true.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
true.
Yeah.
If she said I was off limits, Sevro would adhere to that. That
That's
said,
true.
when I was making my choice, I didn't inherently think that. Now I'm a little worried. I feel like Mustang would be good company, though. I feel like Mustang would be like the most civilized company.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
She would make
probably
me feel
myself
really
good
dumb,
about
though.
myself. Like Victor,
Oh,
I don't think she wouldn't be worried about our feelings.
No.
No, but Mustang.
But
would, like,
sometimes we
step around.
kind of need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little.
Sometimes, but Mustang
Yeah.
would like be like a great life coach.
Mm.
And
She would
she
be
would.
a life. If she was a
Yeah.
normal human, she would be a life coach for
Yeah,
sure.
'cause she's always taking she's one of the few characters that always takes the emotions of others into effect, like or into her head in her decision making. Everyone else is pretty, selfish to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess since we're talking about Mustang, I have to commend you because in a book that you wouldn't think is super romantic, I have read some of the most romantic lines in your books just from your characters.
Thank you.
It's-
That's nice of you to say.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Are you practicing to say that to other?
Am I practicing?
Yeah, is those lines like what you pull out on a date?
Well, if I could pull it off on a date with a straight face, maybe I would. But
Then they read your book later and they're like, oh, wait.
This is recycled material.
Well, right, exactly. I feel as though modern life makes us so skeptical of sincerity that books that are this big can be, like, in terms of the ideas thrown around and the stakes, you can say things and mean them that you might mean in real life, but we're so jaded. You think about if anyone does something sincere on social media, how many percent of the comments are going to be jaded and rip it apart?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we've just conditioned ourselves to lose the capital R romance, and in a book like this, it's fun to, when you're dealing with, the destruction of worlds and armies on the march, the characters are emboldened to be more sincere. And that's one of the things I like about the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I read so many times and I'm like, oh, why can't my husband say that to me? But it's okay.
I think it's also because, like, if you look at it in guy culture right now online, I think there's this big, like, how do I say, they're almost like mourning not having a cause, not having a war to march off to. Now, granted, there's a lot of bad things that can come with that, but I think that modern life it robs us of the same sort of binary purpose we used to have. And without a big conflict or a big cause, you yearn for meaning. And so I think that a lot of the men would do the things to prove that they have those feelings for you. But, without the Vikings invading your neighborhood, how can they prove it?
Yeah, we're not in a space war.
Yeah, like your husband might not say that stuff to you, but he would definitely go to war for you. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the funny thing. We're just conditioned not to put it into words in the same way, because it feels insincere.
Mm-hmm. We're on the topic of lines. Do you have a specific line that you have personally written that you knew was going to be good? And second part to that question, is there a line that you're surprised that your readers have really loved?
Sure. Shit escalates. I was surprised that readers connected to that one so much. The one that I wrote that I knew was good, I'll just use Lightbringer as an example. When Victra said the line, it must have been a man who wrote the line that hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. To imagine scorn being the utmost misery a woman could suffer. What would he think of a woman who's seen her husband sold off like chattel and her child, the rest? They come for our children, Virginia. Don't fear for me. Pity them. I wrote that and I was like, yeah.
Like, that's it.
That's why she's so cool.
I was like, Victor's dropping bars. Yeah, that one I knew.
But it's fine.
Yeah, but then some of the pithier ones, like a lot of Sevro's things, just like what is it? The shit escalates. Some of his insults, like just because I'm pocket size, he expelled like milk and warm cookies, like lines like that. I was like, people like that, cool. Like the one I wasn't sure about in the last one was like Lyria and the ham, when Sevro
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, caught her getting the ham, and I wasn't sure if that would play, but I'm so glad it did. Like, don't touch my ham, or don't touch my shit, don't touch my shit. Yeah, so some of Sevro's lines I'm not sure about.
They always land for me.
They always land.
I also like the really one when Darrow at the end of Morning Star is facing off with Cassius, and he's about to, right when he's been rescued, and he says, "Expect me," and then jumps off the building. And I just love that line, "Expect me," because I hadn't heard that before.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I need to start using that.
It's so menacing. Like,
Yeah.
And he's got like two bodies, and he's like, "Expect me," and then like swan dives
Just
backwards.
like,
The fuck?
Oh,
That dude means it. That dude means it.
Yeah.
Imagine that in a TV show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Epic. Yeah, I feel like you
Uh-huh.
write lines that would translate well to a script.
Screen.
Like full body chills.
Because I feel like sometimes we read books where, like, if that was an actor said the lines that is written down,
Mhm.
we'd cringe out a little bit.
Mm.
But I feel like your books, they would land really well, and they wouldn't be like cringy. They're just epic. They're epic
Thank
lines,
you.
Mhm.
and so I can see them like translating well to a screen and like just chills, like Kennedy said,
Mhm.
and not being cringed out. Your writing is just, it's meant for the screens. It really is.
Yeah, I've always, I grew up loving movies. I think that that's kind of reflected in the books themselves. And I too have a problem sometimes with the way characters talk in books, that they're just so wordy, you know? And I appreciate in movies how they'll leave a lot up to the actor or the directing to deliver something. Whereas in a book, sometimes they'll just be talking and like, no one talks like that. Like the cadence
Yeah,
off and
like no one would say this in real life.
Yeah, and also
Mhm.
like someone gets like 3 paragraphs to explain themselves. Like when do people ever give anyone 3 paragraphs to explain themselves?
No,
Right?
no one.
Exactly.
Especially like I heard this statistic. I don't know if it's still true, but I read this like a while back. But it says like the average pause in a Western conversation is less than 0.5 seconds in the interchange of information. When I stop talking and when you start talking, less than 0.5. Whereas in Japanese culture, it's like probably, I think it's like 8 times longer.
Oh,
Yeah, and I always thought that to be very interesting. And I sometimes think about that and I'm not sure that statistic is still true. I imagine it is, because of the different cultures. But I sometimes think that in books as well. Sometimes like you're reading a book and it's like every interchange is like 4-second pause, and the person comes back with a perfectly eloquent thing. Where in real life they'd be like bullshit,
Yeah.
that would be like their opinion, So I try to do that. So I appreciate you noticing that.
we do.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're kind of talking about movies. Do you have any fan casts for your characters? Like, is there any actors that you feel like would be able to portray your characters really well, or is that an impossible task for you?
It's a difficult task because how would I say it? I wrote the first book in 2012, 2011, and then, got published in 2014. So the actors had, a lot of them aged out of it, right?
Okay.
So there was various actors at various times, which I thought would be quite good for it. And yet are now too old, right? What was that guy in Normal People? What was his name?
It's what is the
The
girl's
hunky
name?
Irish guy.
Hold on.
The girl's name is
Paul Mescal.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, for a while I thought Paul Mescal would make a great Darrow. He's too old now,
Ooh.
right? But I always thought he had that
Yeah.
kind of that inner intensity that's necessary, and
Ooh,
also
okay.
he's not stereotypically handsome. He's handsome in his own way, which I think there's a temptation to cast everyone to be like CW pretty, but I think that's
Yeah.
a mistake. I like interesting faces more so.
Yeah.
So someone who's kind of off kilter handsome like him, I thought would do well as Darrow. But again, they age out.
Yeah.
So I've never really had anyone particular in mind. The only actor that I did always have as a fan cast in my head was Oliver Reed as Lorna Arcos. If you've seen Gladiator, he's the mentor figure in Gladiator.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Incredible stage actor. And he obviously passed away before I started writing it. But I always imagined Oliver Reed as Lorna Arcos. Just got those big kind of like butcher, meaty hands, very kind of stout and surly, and obviously drinks like a fish. But otherwise, I'm kind of curious. Do you guys have any? Because I'm always open to good ideas. Yeah.
I mean, I made a TikTok once and people told me it was bad.
Oh, no.
So I'm trying to remember. I did cast, do you know Barry Keoghan?
Yeah.
Keoghan?
Keoghan.
I did say him as Sevro. I don't know why.
Yeah, he's got some of that weird internal madness going on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It seems like, yeah. And then did you see, I can't remember the actor's name. Did you ever watch Dark Matter on Apple TV?
Yeah. Yeah.
The main character in
Joel
that.
Edgerton.
What's his name? Yes.
Yes.
As who?
As Fitchner.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah.
Who else did I cast? Oh, I did.
Didn't you say
I did
Austin Butler as
Cassius?
I mean, he is pretty enough.
And then I did Mustang.
The girl on Songbird and
She was on
Snakes.
Euphoria, Hunter Schafer.
Oh,
And then there was another one.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. Anyways.
I feel like I also get really hooked on, is this a spoiler? Red Darrow versus Gold Darrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like,
Mhm.
how do you do that? I don't know if you got to do some like CGI like Captain America.
It's probably the
But I
best
feel like
way. Yeah.
yeah, see, like, you know, a smaller version of an actor and then gold.
Smaller version.
it's
I don't know.
2025. There's a lot we can do.
Yeah,
There's a
Yeah.
lot we
But-
can do. We did in that Captain
Yeah.
America. I thought it worked pretty effectively, and that was what 2011 or something.
Yeah.
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 It's been a minute.
But I
It
mean,
is
Marvel
interesting to think
CGI
about.
has just really gone downhill from there. So,
Yeah.
you know, you never know with CGI.
I feel like with your books, I feel like I'd love to see lesser known actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, you know, when they're well known, they get attached to characters or like past work, and I would love to just see like actresses that just have really nothing behind them, so they can really just like commit
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
to the Red Rising.
I'm glad
Series.
you think that. That would be my preference as well. I don't think that, and I think I prefer them to be lesser known simply so they can inhabit the role better, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, so they'll be easier to deal with, but
Yeah.
but mostly so they can inhabit the role. You know, I think that the Hunger Games had a great. It had a very rare situation where a rising star melded perfectly with a character, because Jennifer Lawrence was known in Hollywood, but she was known for Winter's Bone and I think one other thing, and it just was the perfect timing. You don't often have that, right? But I agree, and I also think that a lot of the conversation focuses on actors that you think look like the character in your head, but I'm more of the more interested in someone who will inhabit the character. Like,
Yeah.
you walk into the room and you're like, holy moly, that's exactly Sevro's vibe, you know. And I think
Mhm.
that it can be a little surface level if you're just trying to make them look like the characters I described, right?
Definitely.
Particularly if we're talking about a book that's supposed to be post-racial, right? So it's supposed
Yeah.
to be post-racial, so it's difficult for me to think that we should only have, you know, a Caucasian actor in mind for Darrow, for instance. I think it's much more about, does the person feel like them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that's particularly important to me when we go down that path. You know, is finding the one to walk in the room and you're like, that's Victor energy. You know, much more so than matching the light description I gave in the book. You know.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have a hard time not having a crush if you're you're an actress that is Victra?
I will
Is that-
have a perfectly healthy and professional relation with this
Yes.
actor. Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah, no, for sure. Probably it'll probably be like as soon as they get she gets the Julia armor on, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like when the
Prepare
actor's just being
yourself.
the actor, yeah, but then they cut the hair the right way and then saying the lines, I'd be like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe that could be your love story.
It could be. It could be.
Write
You know,
it
who knows?
yourself. Yeah.
But what if, it'd be a funny love story.
Yes.
You know, but
Well-
go ahead.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I don't know. I was just trying to dig myself out of that hole.
No, I'm
Never
sorry.
mind.
I put you in that hole. I apologize.
I'd never thought. That's definitely a question I've not been asked before.
Hey, there you go. Good
My-
job,
my-
Michaela.
Someone
my
write a
real-
fan
The
fiction.
real one I've started thinking about is what if the actor we get to play Darrow, what if he's just an asshole? And I'm and I hate this guy, and I'm alienated from my own creation, and he's yet out there being, on posters and stuff Darrow Andromedus, and I'm like, this guy sucks, I don't want that.
Oh, you never
And-
know.
Yeah, and
Never
then the guy
know.
that plays the Jackal ends up being the greatest dude ever, and I'm like, ugh.
Can we trade?
Yeah,
Yeah.
can we trade?
Well,
yeah.
you just make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
Do
you
my
got some
best.
power.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate the time you've taken to speak with us. It truly means the world. So thank you. I think you're like the most anticipated guest that we've ever
our
had
listeners
Oh,
are
on the
going to
podcast.
freak
They're
out.
gonna lose their minds.
Uh-huh.
So
That's awesome.
we just want to end with a few. You guys feel
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Just a few fun questions before we close this interview. But first question is, do you have like a current obsession? Like, I know you don't have a lot of time, but is there like a TV show you're loving, a video game, a hobby that you're into? I know you're into gardening. I've seen that on your TikTok.
Yeah, sadly, no video games. Gardening is pretty much my passion right now. I just got this.
I love that.
I wish I had it in here, but I just got this new device called it's Japanese Nata, Nata, and it's meant for
Okay.
grooming trees, and it's this gorgeous blade that I got. I'm excited to use to trim my trees with. So that's
A
my
blade,
main,
huh?
Yeah, so I've just been getting all sorts of, because I've done gardening for a long time, but I'd never, how would I say, honored my trees with like perfectly shaping them. And so now
Mhm.
I'm out there just like whenever I have free time hacking at my trees, and it's really fun.
Who would have thought Pierce Brown has a green thumb?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fun.
There you go.
There we go. So that's pretty much my main fascination there. And the only TV show I'm watching right now is Alien Earth, and I'm really liking that. Written by Noah Hawley, who did the Fargo TV show, and I think it's got a lot of interesting stuff going on. A lot of transhumanism discussion, and basically, who will win in the race for immortality? Will it be cyborgs, which is a human with cybernetic attachments? Will it be synths, which are AI constructs in synthetic bodies? Or will it be hybrids, which are a human consciousness in a synthetic body? And I think it's really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I need to watch that.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really fun, and the actors on it all do a great job. The main concept is, a new tech guru has. His idea is to put the consciousness of children into adult synthetic bodies, because he believes that children have the unlimited potential for creativity, and so he wants to create immortal children. And I don't know if I've quite seen that done that way before, so it's pretty interesting.
Very cool. All right, well, do you have time to read? Do you have a book? Like, are you ever always have something to read?
You right now. I was like, what?
Yeah. Can you read us a story? Can you read us Red God, actually?
Yeah, I'm reading. I have to read. So if I don't read, reading's my therapy pretty much. So I am reading Seneca's Letters to a Young Stoic, or Seneca's Letters to a Stoic right now. I'm reading, so I read that in the mornings often, like to get my head straight, which is basically Seneca was a old philosopher, but a man of letters, who was writing to a pupil of his, and it's just like, literally he'll have a letter on reading, and it'll be a 5-page letter talking about his philosophy around reading, or it'll be like on good, or on virtue, or on Marcus's villa, and just talking shit about a Marcus's villa, and this is really fun to get in the head of someone who's 2,000 years gone, and see how similar humans, or how little humans have evolved since then. So Seneca in the morning right now, and then I'm reading Between Two Fires, which is a medieval horror book that was actually recommended to me by Callie Hart. Quicksilver author.
I have that on my shelf.
Oh well, we found out we were neighbors, so we got a beer like a couple weeks ago, and she recommended Between Two Fires, and I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, that's on my TBR.
Which one?
I just bought it the other day, actually.
Or Quicksilver?
Well, did we read Quicksilver for a book club?
Yeah, we
did.
did.
Yeah, we did.
But Between Two Fires.
Okay, yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's really I say the plot's yet to kick in, but the writing is pretty darn good.
So if you had to recommend a book to someone to read after they finish your books, because they're going to be in a reading slump, what book would you recommend to get them out of the Red Rising slump?
Oh, I almost always recommend Joe Abercrombie. I think that it's, how to say it, there's similarities in some of the stuff we talk about, but in a much different way. And so I always recommend The Blade itself. Oftentimes, if they've not read classic sci-fi, or it's not really classic sci-fi because it's from the 90s, but Hyperion by Dan Simmons is
Okay.
another one of my favorites. Or even like Lord of the Flies or Count of Monte Cristo, some of the ones that really gave me inspiration for Red Rising. So those are some of the ones.
Those are both great books.
Count of Monte Cristo is just the best book ever. Like that was the first I don't know, that was the first like epic literature book I read. I think I was like 12, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is good. And it was, such a monumental undertaking for a 12-year-old, but the book it's just such a ripping yarn. And sorry, I sound like an old man. A ripping yarn. But it really is. It's so good.
Oh, well, this has been so fun. Thank you for your advice on what to read after the Red Rising slump. I know a lot of our listeners are currently reading Red Rising, and so they're going to need that after, for
hopefully
sure.
we didn't do too many spoilers for them, and our code worked really well.
I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, we might have to just put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Skip.
Listen at your own risk.
Yeah, listen at your own risk.
Mild
I mean, it's
spoilers
hard to
ahead.
not.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I know.
It's hard.
It's hard, especially with the way Red Rising starts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
It's like, how do you sell that book?
We get 60 pages in, and I was like, did he really just do that?
Yeah.
Well,
the
I'll
funny
never
thing
forget.
is, I had Io as a character before I had Darrow as a character. And it was Darrow came from having... So Io was the first character I had in the Red Rising world. And so if you think about it, until like about 45 pages in, she's the only character who shows agency. It's her book. She's the only one whose decisions affect other people. Darrow's just kind of along for the ride, and Io's just deciding everything. And Darrow came from knowing what would happen, in the first pages of the book, because I was inspired by Antigone, the Sophocles play, and I was curious what happened after Antigone's fate, and so that's where Darrow came from. So it's really funny, but it is hard to pitch the book without like not ruining, but spoiling the first like 40 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll never forget like where I was when I read those I remember texting Kennedy and I was like, I'm on page like 40 whatever, and I'm like, I'm already sobbing.
Yeah.
So
it's a reflection of how the rest of the series goes.
Yes.
So.
It really
sets the pace.
Yeah. The most common question I get is, what's wrong with me? Or what happened?
Yeah, I mean, we love whatever's wrong with you. It's fine.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I feel like I have allies here.
Oh yeah, we got you.
Sure do.
We got you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again. We really appreciate it, and we will just, be on pins and needles for the next however long we have, but no pressure.
Take your time.
When I get it locked in, we'll have to do another one of these.
Oh, you would love nothing more.
Yes.
All right.
It would be our honor.
Well,
so
thank you for the time, and y'all
it would be our honor.
Y'all are great hosts. I feel like we're just chatting over beers, but
yeah.
Thank you so much.